This is the Spirit and Wellness Show. News and information from a higher perspective. With your host, Harry Wilkinson.
Yes, welcome to the Spirit and Wellness Show. I am your host, Mr. Harry Wilkinson, and it is the week of March the 17th, St. Patrick's Day, interestingly enough, and we have a new pope to go along with it. St. Patrick's Day being originally a Catholic holiday, it kind of makes sense. I believe that St. Patrick was the saint who drove snakes out of Ireland, if I'm not mistaken. I think there's a whole history of that, which I would have done a little more research on to talk to you about for this week, but there have been an awful lot of other very important developments to talk about, and the media didn't seem to be particularly focused on St. Patrick's Day. They were focused on a chimney waiting for smoke to emerge from it. That was most of the coverage for the early part of the week. And as in the show, at least in the first part of our show, we like to take a look at what, the media and what the days and weeks events and reporting have been, and we take a look at them from a higher perspective. So the biggest story of the week, of course, is the new pope being chosen, and very quickly too, in record time. They got together in their little conclave on Tuesday, and by Wednesday they had chosen the new pope. My understanding of it is they were quite anxious to make sure there was a new pope in place as the Easter holidays approach. It would be, I imagine, rather difficult to participate in Easter celebrations without there being a new pope in place. So, yes, the new pope is arrived, and he is Argentinian. He is a Latin American. And so we talked a little bit about the fact that they were going to choose a pope, and I was speculating a bit as to how much of a political decision the choice would be, as opposed to what it's supposed to be, which is a divinely guided decision in which God guides the hands of the cardinals as they vote for the new pope. So I believe that it was quite a political decision. There was quite a bit of pressure on the church to have a Latin cardinal. There's never been one, or there has been one, but it's been apparently several hundred years since there's been one. And since right now it appears that the church's strongest support comes from Latin America, they felt that, I'm sure, quite a bit of pressure to make sure that this pope had some connection to Latin America. And he does. He's a native of Buenos Aires, and also is a Jesuit. It's another first for a pope, the first Jesuit pope. And we'll talk about what that means a little bit later on. But he was the Archbishop of Buenos Aires and became cardinal in 2001. And his name is Jorge Mario Bergoglio, and the name he's chosen as Pope is Pope Francis. This is named after Saint Francis of Assisi, He is the patron saint of the poor, as well as animals and children. So this speaks to his devotion to, or his concern with the poor, as well as his humility and humbleness, which is being made quite a bit of in the news these days, because he has not donned on the most expensive and brightly colored robes. He's taken the van with other cardinals instead of taking the Pope mobile, as it were. He's making a very strong statement about humility, about humbleness, in the midst of a very ornate church environment. So it's very interesting to see that he is making that statement very loudly and very clearly. And it's, again, what I would say is a political move. The church being under such strong criticism for abuses, both in the realm of the human abuses, the children and such, but also financial abuses, all kinds of scandals and misappropriations of funds, and many of which are just coming to light. So it's very clear that this Pope wants to get it out in front of this sort of thing and make it clear to his people that he's going to not be a Pope who will allow that sort of thing to continue. Probably something that the Church needs to its people to hear. Now, as I said, he is a Jesuit. So what does that mean? Well, Jesuit priests are, it's basically the Society of Jesus is the name of the order. It's a male order, and their goal is to promote social justice. So they go out amongst the poor to help the poor, and they go out amongst the destitute to help change their worlds. So again, this is another kind of nod to his devotion to humility and the poor. Now, as for controversy, there's quite a bit of that as well. He, as Archbishop in Buenos Aires, apparently had a little incident occur in something known as the Dirty War. The Dirty War occurred in Argentina in 1976 and was basically a period of state terrorism, where there was quite a bit of guerrilla warfare going on. This warfare was aimed at left-wing political groups and anyone perceived to be associated with socialism. So left-wing activists and militants all were either killed or disappeared, and it apparently was quite a bloody and difficult time in the country's history. Now, within that context, it's been stated that this Pope, Bergoglio, had as his during his cardinalship been involved or implicated in the disappearance of 2 priests by the military. Apparently he dismissed these priests just prior to their disappearance, thereby signaling that apparently the idea is that in his dismissal of them, it signaled to the military that they could then take these 2 priests. So a human rights lawyer in 2005 filed a criminal complaint against him in his role as superior in the Society of Jesus, the Jesuit Society, and basically accuses him of involvement in the kidnapping. And the 2 priests were tortured, but found alive 5 months later, drugged and semi-naked. And one of them, a man by the name of Orlando Iorio, accused Bergoglio of effectively handing them over to the death squads by declining to tell the regime that he endorsed their work. So in his dismissal of them, he's basically was handing them over to these squads. Now, since his election as Pope, a statement has come out confirming the kidnapping, but the cause has been attributed to a former collaborator who left to become a guerrilla, was captured, and named the 2 priests when interrogated. And in this statement says he cannot comment on the role of Mr. Bergoglio in this process. So there's some dark edge to the man. But now, remember we talked about would this be a pope of change? So let's look at Pope Francis from that point of view, knowing that the Catholic Church is an institution that's undergoing tremendous change. Is this a pope who will help to usher that in, or is this a pope who will try to hold it back? And my sense of it is, because of his outward demeanor of humility, and also because he has a rather gregarious personality that the press seems to enjoy and people seem to enjoy listening to. He speaks very well. I think he's going to be quite a beloved figure in the church, particularly among Latin Americans. I think he will also oversee certain changes in the church as far as procedures, as far as accountability in the way that they do business. However, if you are looking to him to make changes in the church's stance on things like abortion or birth control or homosexuality, same-sex marriage, any of those things that many Catholics are hoping will change within the church, this is not a pope who's going to change that kind of thing at all. However, you may find him more willing to hold the church accountable for, and hold members of the church accountable for certain actions of I won't say depravity, but certain actions of impropriety, if you will. I think you might see him do a little more on that. Certainly there will be pressure on him to do it, and I think he may be more willing to do it than perhaps some of his predecessors might be. But other than that, yeah, don't expect him to willingly change a lot of church doctrine. I do believe the change will come. However, it may not be ushered in with any sense of urgency. It may be done just because it has to be done. But we'll go back here to talk about, if you remember a couple of weeks ago, I spoke about the papal prophecies of Saint Malachi, who in 1595, in the 12th century, sorry, not 1595, in the 12th century, wrote a prophecy about the popes that would come. And the last pope was identified as Peter the Roman. And his description of all the popes apparently has been rather stunningly accurate. And this last pope, which is who this Pope Francis would be, would allegedly preside over the end of the church and the beginning of the apocalypse. And the actual prophecy is, let me find that here, yes. Well, I'll avoid reading the Latin translation into English. Will probably be a better thing. The prediction was that in the final persecution of the Holy Roman Church, there will sit Peter the Roman, who will pasture his sheep in many tribulations, and when these things are finished, the city of 7 hills, which is a reference to Rome, will be destroyed, and the dreadful judge will judge his people. The end. So this pope is referred to as Gloria Olivae, the glory of the olive. No, actually, that would have been Pope Benedict. The last one was referred to as the glory of the olive. This one is referred to as Peter the Roman. And so this interpretation of this prophecy basically says that, this Peter the Roman, who would be our new pope, is the one who's going to preside over basically the end of the church, the destruction of Rome, and the apocalypse and the end. Or, or he could be the pope that presides over a rather all-encompassing upheaval in the church and change in the church. So, it remains to be seen. It's like I say, I likened it to the Mayan prophecies of where the Mayan calendar ends, and while many people saw that as a sign of the apocalypse, which obviously didn't happen, not in the way people were thinking about it, it does signify the end of a cycle, and I'm a firm believer in the truth of that. I do believe we are at the end of a cycle of human development or existence, if you will. And basically, just to bottom line it, because I don't have a lot of time here, and I could go into a lot of explanations about it, but basically, I believe we are living in a time when or we're coming to the end of a cycle of the belief in separation, basically. I think that our history has been one of emergence from nature, if you will, discovery of the separate self, and through our continued science, through our continued technology, we have continued to believe in a separate self, a kind of consciousness of being something other than that which surrounds us. And we're reaching the end point of that. We're reaching the point where that, as a point of view, as a perspective, no longer serves us. And I was reading, and I will get to that book again, the book that I mentioned last week, which is on basically the end of money. But one of the points that was made is that it's much like in human development, the period of adolescence, where you go through childhood and adolescence is all about the separation phase. It's all about trying to discover who and what you are. And during the adolescent phase, there's a great deal of selfishness involved because it's needed. The identity is being formed. The focus has to be on the self. And as an adolescent, you are still not much of a giver. You are still taking, either from your parents who are feeding you and keeping a roof over your head, or from the society that is teaching you, and you are learning new things. And so the parallel's been made that we are reaching the end of our adolescence, and we're dawning into the age of sort of early adulthood for humanity, in which we are no longer just taking, but we are learning how to be one again. We've discovered our individuality, and we are learning to reconnect, if you will, with our oneness. So that's an overall kind of thought that I have on this change that we're going through. But I think it's pretty clear. I think it's pretty clear that there is a definite change going on in humanity. There are things happening that have never happened before in human history. And I do believe we are reaching the end of a cycle and starting the beginning of a new one. And, well, one of the things that we've been talking about a lot on this show, and happy to be able to announce it, even though I pretty much said that this was going to happen, it's now been confirmed that the Higgs boson particle, the God particle, that physicists have been theorizing about for the better part of a century, has finally been confirmed. They have discovered the Higgs boson particle. And while the news media was focused on a chimney and waiting for smoke to emerge from the chimney, one of the greatest scientific discoveries, scientific breakthroughs in human history kind of just slid underneath the wire. But it has been reported, and it is in the news, and you just kind of have to look for it if you're interested. It didn't make front page headlines, although it should have, because it is the beginning of a new view of how the universe works. And that view is one of connectedness. So, they found the Higgs boson, the elusive God particle. And this God particle was first theorized, as I've mentioned before, in 1964 by the British physicist Peter Higgs. And it was an attempt to explain why matter has mass. In other words, when matter forms, it forms as interaction of particles, but why it has mass or density, what gives it its mass or density, what connects it with other matter, was a mystery to them. And the scientists have basically confirmed that they're dealing with a Higgs boson particle, but they're saying they still have a long way to go to know what kind of Higgs boson it is, and how it interacts with other particles and its quantum properties. So there's still a lot to know about it, but it is the beginning of this understanding that quantum physics has been discovering for quite some time, that we are creating the world around us, that we are interconnected at the subatomic level in a way we didn't really understand, and that the old Cartesian view of the universe, that we are separate, built out of unique atoms that are solid, is no longer the standard view of the universe. Instead, our view of the universe is one where it is continually expanding, continually in flux, and continually being created by that and those who observe it. So, it's just the very beginning of a new way of seeing the world. And I find it very interesting that this breakthrough happens at the same time as the prophesied last pope emerges and takes his place at the head of Rome. It's very interesting. And to me, it's a sign of these changes that are happening, that the old way of believing in things, whether spiritually or scientifically, is is on its way out, and a new kind of spirituality that not only encompasses science, but connects with science, is at the intersection of science and spiritual thought. This is what is emerging. Discovery of the God particle, while scientists would balk at that, to me indicates the beginning of a connection between spirituality and science. There's so much more to talk about with this, that this is going to be an ongoing conversation that I have here on this show. So I would love to hear from anybody who's got comments about that. I am always open to hearing from my listeners, wherever and whoever they happen to be. And I do, and in response to some criticisms I've gotten from some of my listeners, no, not really criticisms, that more of a request that more time be put into the wellness portion of our Spirit and Wellness show. I will, I promise, talk more about those issues as well. How to manage stress, how to use meditation and yoga poses. But I'll leave you with the new meditation app that is available both on the iPhone and I believe also on the Android as well. This meditation app, if you will, you can download to your cell phone, and it will assist you in meditating or finding time or focusing on a concept or an affirmation to meditate on. Now, you can go to either the Android App Store or the iPhone Store and find this meditation app. And they apparently can help you to relax and really engage and participate in meditation. So I encourage you to go and find that. And that's what I will leave you with today. And thank you for listening. And we'll see you next week. Happy meditation to you.